Following the massive US Operation Midnight Hammer against Iran's nuclear facilities, the world witnessed something astonishing. The Russian air defense systems used by Tehran were rendered completely helpless. This demonstration of American and Israeli superiority did more than just dash Iran's hopes of defense. It seriously shook Moscow's confidence in its own defense capabilities, writes The Telegraph. For Ukraine, this is a historic signal. After all, the Russian S-300 and its modernized analogues, such as the S-400 and much-hyped S-500, now look helpless when dealing with modern Western technology. Ukraine, which has already surprised the world with operations against Russian strategic aviation, now gets another trump card. The example of Iran proves that with Western support, even the best Russian systems are vulnerable. Putin, who disdains human losses and throws thousands of soldiers into battle, cannot ignore the risk of his own vulnerability. After all, Israel and the United States have demonstrated the ability not only to destroy targets, but also to identify and eliminate key figures in the enemy hierarchy. Ukraine has also proven that it can operate inside Russia, and this causes real fear in the Kremlin. The political subtext is even deeper. If the US decides to arm Ukraine in the same way as Israel, the war could take a new, decisive turn. Putin understands this, and perhaps that is why we hear more and more about negotiations. It is quite possible that the US show of force in Iran is not only a signal to Tehran, but also a warning to Moscow. In modern warfare, technology is everything, and if the West finally decides to give Ukraine its full arsenal of capabilities, Putin will have no choice but to capitulate. Recall that on June the 22nd, US aircraft attacked Iranian nuclear facilities. After that, the White House called on Tehran to turn to negotiations on halting its nuclear program. We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. The primary site, Fordo, was dropped with a full load of bombs. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is no other military in the world that could have done this, the American president said on his social network, Truth Social.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to London Monday on his state visit, and the pair met with Operation Interflex troops, charged with training Ukrainian soldiers. According to Associated Press, Starmer praised the two countries' cooperation and reiterated the UK support to Ukraine as both a UK and Ukrainian flag flew over Downing Street. "It is really good to be able to fly those flags as a symbol of the unity between our two countries," he said. Zelensky gave ample thanks to his counterpart and to the Interflex troops, claiming the occasion of their meeting was a historic moment. "We're thankful for this meeting, for the decision of support militarily and financially to Ukraine," he said. "It's very important to share our experience, first of all your experience on the battlefield," he added, addressing the troops. Back in Ukraine, Russian drones and missiles killed at least 14 civilians and injured several dozen others in overnight attacks, local officials said Monday, with 9 deaths reported in the capital, Kyiv, where an apartment building partially collapsed. The strikes came nearly a week after a Russian attack killed 28 people in Kyiv, 23 of them in a residential building that collapsed after a direct missile hit. Russia has also hit civilian areas with long-range strikes in an apparent attempt to weaken Ukrainian morale.
Good afternoon. Slava Ukraine.
Can I just welcome you to Downing Street? It's really a privilege and a pleasure to welcome not only President Zelensky again, who's a regular now at Downing Street, but to have you here is a really special privilege of mine, because I've seen the training that you do at Interflex a number of times now. I've come to see it, both the trainers and those that are being trained. And I have to say it is really humbling. And I'm really proud that we've been able to do that throughout the conflict, and will continue to do so for the rest of the conflict, into hopefully a ceasefire with Ukraine in the strongest possible position. And of course, when I was in Ukraine, I think the time before last, we signed the 100-year agreement between our two countries. So it is really good to be able to fly those flags as a symbol of the unity between our two countries.
Thank you, dear Prime Minister, dear Keir, thank you for invitation. And we are very thankful to UK, all your team and people of the United Kingdom for such big support of Ukraine from the very beginning of this war. It's a very historic moment. It was, and the good result of today's our meeting is this additional decision of co-production, and I think it will be very strong and will strengthen both nations. It's very important, yes, to share our experience, your experience. By the way, first of all, your experience on the battlefield and your knowledge and experience during Interflex training mission. So I'm very thankful for this meeting, for the decision of support militarily and financially Ukraine. Thank you. Slava Ukraini. Thank you, Keir. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with King Charles III Monday at Windsor Castle as part of his state visit to the UK. According to Associated Press, Zelensky is also set to meet UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London on Monday ahead of this week's NATO summit. Starmer's office says the two leaders will hold talks at 10 Downing Street on Monday afternoon, and the Prime Minister will reiterate our steadfast support to Ukraine. Zelensky has visited London several times since Russia's invasion 2022. Back in Ukraine, Russian drones and missiles killed at least 10 civilians in overnight attacks, local officials said Monday, with 7 deaths reported in the capital, Kyiv, where emergency crews raced to search for people believed trapped under a partially collapsed apartment building. Russia fired 352 drones and decoys overnight, as well as 11 ballistic missiles and 5 cruise missiles, Ukraine's Air Force said. Air defenses intercepted or jammed 339 drones and 15 missiles before they could reach their targets, a statement said.